All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for everyone who's joined in. I am Saloni and I lead business intelligence efforts here at Value First. I am super delightful to welcome you all and for today's webinar on Truecaller Business Messaging. Thank you for taking the time for tuning in. We're going to have a super exciting session today where we're going to deep dive into how Truecaller Business Messaging can empower businesses to reach their desired audience more effectively and drive better ROIs. I'm thrilled to introduce to you our panelists who are going to share very meaningful and valuable insights with us. Please meet Yogesh. He is the principal product manager at Truecaller. He brings deep expertise in product development and user-centric solutions. We also have Kiran joining us, Director of Product Management at Tanla Platforms Limited. He has an extensive experience in communication platforms and businesses' growth strategies. Welcome, Yogesh and Kiran. It's great to have you both join us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So without further ado, Kiran, could you give us a brief introduction about Truecaller Business Messaging and how is it really changing the landscape in the business communication landscape?
Yeah, absolutely, Saloni. Thank you so much for the introduction. I can say now, Truecaller Business Messaging is now really a powerful platform. Basically, it allows the brands to connect with their end customers, but in a more trusted and secure and engaging way. I can say it like, it's now another, call it as if when you talk about the business messaging solution, it's another OTT platform now in the market with a really almost 400 million plus worldwide active users and approximately 270 million plus active users within India. Really, Truecaller now has become a household name. I mean, of course, from many years, it is a household name for the caller identification and spam blocking. But not only that, now Truecaller, we have extended that same trust and security into the business communication area also now. So this will enable the business messaging platform where it will give the verified businesses so that it brings the trust to the end customers, and it also gives the opportunity for the business entities to send their promotional messages or the transactional messages where the important updates or any utility and service related messages directly to their customers using this particular Truecaller business messaging solution. And all these messages that appears directly into the Truecaller inbox. So naturally, this will help end users to really clutter-free environment to reach their messages, read their messages with confidence. Confidence, when I'm meaning is because they can see the green color tick mark where it identifies and it significantly ensures the end users that yes, this is a trusted brand, and that is how you can, without any fear, you can actually click on that link or you can go through the message and you do the next desired action based on the CTA buttons XYZ, which we will explain you in the next coming sessions. So this is the actually to give you a brief about what exactly the business messaging platform from the Truecaller, what we are actually talking about.
Great. Thanks, Kiran, for the overview. From the sense of it, it seems that Truecaller Business Messaging is designed to cut through the noise in the market through the as it being a trusted communication channel. Let's get into it a bit more. Yogesh, could you share how Truecaller Business Messaging can help brands expand their reach and boost customer engagement? While you are on the topic of it, you could also shed some light on Truecaller's USPs, so to say.
Sure, I think, Saloni, that's a good question. And, I'll break the question into two parts because you mentioned reach and engagement, right? So let me first take up the engagement part, right? So at Truecaller business messaging, right? So whenever any enterprise or any business has to use, we ensure that, we onboard the businesses and provide a proper verified identity to those businesses whenever they are sending out any kind of communication to the end users, right? So, for example, if there's any brand and who sends communication using our channel, the end users would see their proper brand identity with a verified badge, giving them the trust and empowerment to actually trust that communication and reassuring that this is actually a legit communication. So end users can always trust that communication and be assured that it's not a fraudulent or a scammy communication, right? So that's the first part, wherein it by default helps in increasing the engagement of the communication between the brand and the users, right? Second thing is, you mentioned about the reach, right? So what we one of the key pillars of our platform is that we help increase the reach by ensuring that the right messages are delivered to the relevant audience, right? Because see, ultimately for any business, what is key is that their messages should actually be seen and acted upon by the end users, right? So essentially, our platform allows any business to personalize their messaging campaigns based on a lot of user preferences and the user behavior on the platform. So that kind of helps in increasing the ROI for any business that they do. And one of the USPs that I would also like to highlight is that specifically if we talk about any kind of utility messages, right, we give extra attention to the USP to ensure that users don't miss out on those communications, because utility messages are those where users are expecting those communication, and those are more time sensitive as well, right? So we ensure we give a special form factor on the mobile handset to those messages and ensure that they drive maximum engagement, maximum visibility by the end users. And all of this combined essentially, helps us to achieve significantly higher reach as well as engagement as compared to, any other traditional messaging channels. That way, it kind of helps us in making this like a game-changing platform for customer outreach, essentially.
Right. That's super impressive because at the end of the day, as a marketer or a campaign executor, high open rates are extremely crucial, to ensure how well and effectively the campaign has performed. So maybe now we can change gears to talking about certain use cases. Kiran, could you please maybe elaborate on any specific use cases where brands have successfully leveraged Truecaller? Also, maybe you can highlight any specific businesses or industries that have benefited the most from using Truecaller. Sorry, Kiran, you're on mute at the moment.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you, Saloni. It's a good question. If we can highlight, there are several industries already using our Truecaller business messaging solution. If we highlight that from that, I can mention first of all the BFSI segment, and then the e-commerce, and then retail, and then healthcare. These are the main business segments which are more adapted Truecaller business messaging solution for various use cases. For example, if you take banking or the BFSI segment, for all their payment reminders, EMI reminders, loans, all these use cases. Now, Truecaller business solution is so adapted to these use cases because the reason is, for example, if you take an EMI reminder example, they got a clear-cut sticky notification, a smart and persistent notification, what we call it as. So that gets embedded with the CTA button on the notification itself. So if, for example, if the end user want to pay that EMI, do the transaction there, he just need to click there, that pay EMI, there is a one CTA button on the right in the notification itself. Just go to that desired app or the website accordingly that and finish the transaction. Similarly, if you take the e-commerce segment, for example, there you can have a multiple use cases also there also, like you track the agent or where is your exactly the if you want to give some feedback to the service or the any transaction that you were doing on that particular portal. For all these are the kind of use cases from the e-commerce side. Now Truecaller has become very popular now. Similarly, for the healthcare industry, if you take all the appointment reminders or even the checkup reminders, all these kind of use cases are now predominantly these segments or these business segments are actually using more onto the Truecaller business side, business messaging solutions. Because in these cases now, we can actually even customize that particular message. And the one more beautiful point I just want to add is that we have the capability in our Truecaller business messaging solution is that our AI system will automatically identify the exact action item based on that message, and it converts that as a main CTA button on the notification itself. All part of that, we can also add multiple CTA buttons also within the action message content, so that with a one single click, either he can complete the transaction or he can go into the Truecaller inbox and he can do multiple other actions also based on the CTA buttons that we can configure according to the each industry and each category of the message as well. It's not that a fixed one that you have to live with this. That's the very unique feature that we have with the Truecaller business messaging solution.
Right. I think you covered some really good examples that were specific to the industries that will give our audience some perspective based on the brands they are coming from. I also think the persistent notification is what really stood out for me when you were speaking. And if I have to speak from an end user perspective, I think it's really unique to Truecaller. And I think it's
Yes.
also safe to say how versatile there are so many ways in which Truecaller business messaging can be leveraged. So today's customers actually becoming increasingly aware of spams and scams. I think Yogesh, you also mentioned it, how it is like the central theme for you guys. I mean, security is the central theme. So I'm sure our audience would love to hear on this particular topic. What are some of the security features of Truecaller business messaging, and how does Truecaller really help protect the users from fraud? Maybe you could shed some light over there.
Sure. And I think that's a very relevant question, specifically in today's time, right? When spam and fraud are on the rise, right? And, every other day we see so many incidents happening, where fraudsters are tricking users and, defrauding them by one or the other modes, right? So, and at Truecaller, I think security is one of the core pillars overall for Truecaller as a platform, as a consumer-facing application. And so far, we have inherited the same ideology even into our business messaging channel as well, right? So I think first of all, I think in more than 1.5 years of our 1.5 decades of our existence, right? This has been the central theme that we have been working upon. What we help end users is to have a clutter-free communication experience and help them save from any kind of spam or scams, which are happening. And that the same ideology we have inherited into our messaging platform as well, right? So one of the key things that we do to begin with is, like I mentioned earlier also, a stringent business verification flow, wherein we ensure we do a proper KYC for any business that's onboarded on the platform. And we ensure these are legit businesses who are kind of sending out communication. And the same is transferred back to the end users as well, so that they can be assured of the communications they are receiving and like who's the real sender behind those, right? And second thing is, like, all the messages, all the communications via business channel are very labeled properly as business messaging, so that the users are able to reassure on that and reaffirm the trust and identity factor on that, right? Second thing is, this is our proprietary channel, I think an IP-based messaging channel. So we have ensured of end-to-end security on the entire channel. All of our, the endpoints, the platform, all the technical capabilities, we go through a very thorough vulnerability assessment periodically to ensure, everything is safe and sound. And we do get, multiple third-party certifications as well to ensure, the platform is completely safe to use, essentially from a business perspective as well. So overall, I think we are deeply committed to the security aspects, and we ensure that, that transpires both to the end users as well as to the businesses who are kind of, using this channel.
Great. That's really reassuring to hear because, as long as Truecaller's core pillars are, aligned to the security aspect in the world of business messaging, I think it's great for our customers as well. So that brings me to a different thought altogether. While executing campaigns, brands put in a lot of effort, and it's only fair that they expect to get the desired ROIs. So maybe, Kiran, I'll direct this question to you. Can you please share how brands can measure the effectiveness of their campaigns through Truecaller? And what are some of the biggest challenges that brands face in customer communication today? And how does Truecaller help solve them or fit the bill for them, basically?
Yes. I'll just explain in a little detailed way. For example, if you take uh, our value first omni-channel platform, the Infinito, using this platform, first of all, be it any Truecaller, that capability of their platform that provides all the insights and analytics as well. That is what combining that their intelligence and the Infinito platform, our intelligence, combinedly we can actually, this platform gives an amazing dashboard, real-time analytics, and you beat like deliveries or the delivery rate, click rate, read rate, everything at one single dashboard, and that is really really helpful for the any brands. And also the fallback mechanisms that we have in our platforms, this is the very a unique environment, or the where you get everything in one single screen, right from launching the campaign to calculating your complete end results and what is your ROI. Then and there you can actually measure everything, and that too in real time. This is very, in my point of view, or within my experience when I'm interacting with the enterprises, this is what the primarily every enterprise look forward for when I'm doing a campaign. Can I know the results immediately and instantly? Not that you share it some after that and then I'll come to know this. No, but that's where our Infinito and the combination with Truecaller is gives the lot of, really this brings a lot of confidence for for the enterprise. Acha, this is what I spent and this is what my revenue, this is what my ROI is immediately, and that is in real time, and we don't need to really depend on multiple people and for any MIs and reports and analytics like this. So that's what I think that gives a very uh, how do I say the very they can make a complete informed decisions. So how they can optimize the further campaigns, or how they can actually prioritize the channels between the OTT platforms and all these things. That's what, in my point of view, the combination of value first and Truecaller intelligence, this gives the very much better environment for the enterprises to choose this platform, but specifically.
Right, I agree 100%. As long as it's a seamless experience,
Correct.
execution, tracking, all of it, it comes in under one roof. It really
Yeah.
does make a difference for a
E-
marketeer as
e-
well.
Exactly, and that too, the kind of the connectors and all these things that we have with the different marketing platforms as well. So there is nothing one. It's like a one stop solution. You land here, you get everything. You calculate your ROI and you optimize and you fine tune your campaigns. Go with this.
Right. If while we were talking about ROIs, at this moment there are other channels as well available in the market. How would you say Truecaller compares to, let's say, a traditional SMS channel when it comes to engagement?
Yeah, yeah. If you compare like that, I'll just ask you one question. How many people really in these days confident enough, though you know that the message is, for example, XYZ bank, you got a message, you did the transaction, you know you have an account there. Are you really confident to click that link? See that really what it will give you back? People
Well, if I
are
have to give you an unbiased answer, I don't.
no, no, absolutely no. People are really scared even to touch that link. Read it, simply delete it. But when it comes to Truecaller, that's the big game changer actually. You can really, really confidently you can click that that CTA button or the link that comes from Truecaller, because only when we verify that this particular brand, when we onboard that, as Yogesh already mentioned this particular point in the beginning conversations, only when we do all the background verification and everything, then only we give that green tick that yes, this is a trusted brand, this is a trusted source that you are getting this message, so that you are confidently you can interact with this message also using whatever the the tools that you call it CTA or the links or anything that within that message. So in that way, I can say there is no comparison when it comes to SMS and Truecaller business messaging solution, because that's where we play a major role. Like, it gives a very confidence to the end user, not just the brand, even to their end users also, that yes, they can confidently they can interact with them, the message or the communication that we are actually sending to their end users. So
Right.
that way, it's a very, very credible resource source, so that they can confidently they can interact.
Great. That makes total sense. I was also wondering, if I speak from my personal experience as well, every day customers like myself are overexposed or, for the lack of a better word, bombarded with messages from brands. So, how can businesses ensure that their messages are relevant and not too intrusive to customers? Yukesh, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, there's so many channels brands have that they can leverage. So how can Truecaller really differentiate itself in the business messaging market?
Sure. I think I would like to answer this question more from a general perspective, actually, being, very not very agnostic to being agnostic of any specific channel, right? One of the key, like the key thing here is personalization and the correct, reach out to the correct audience, right? So today, what we see is a lot of brands kind of bombard users, like you rightly said, with a lot of communications, and it might not be relevant for the end users, right? And for example, if I talk about myself, right, I receive multiple communications or multiple messages every day, but very few of them are really relevant to me, right? Mostly based on the service that I subscribe to, right? So instead of a business reaching out randomly to any users, they should focus on personalization and specific targeting, right? So understanding your users, cohorting your users based on the different segmentation, their preferences, their behaviors, etc., right? That is the key. And that is what our channel helps you understand. And based on that, it is vital for any business to focus more on the quality rather than the quantity of messages. Of course, I can spend millions of dollars in my marketing, but the ROI would be very less because I'm reaching out to the probably the wrong set of users, right? So it is crucial that every business reaches out to the right set of users, understands their users, the demographics, and tune their communication, their campaigns accordingly. Because that in itself would help you reduce the spends as well as achieve a much higher ROI on the platform. So I think that is one key thing which we kind of work directly with the businesses to help them achieve on this. Second differentiator, or rather, a key point that I would like to highlight is the captive user base that we have, right? In India, I mean, our core use case was caller ID, but I think a lot of our users use us for our their messaging needs as well, right? So we have close to 300 million users in India who are active on the platform, who use our application day in and day out for either calling or messaging use cases, right? So we come with a wide reach. So we come with a wide fragmentation of the user. So based on the different use cases, nature of the different brands, you can reach out to different kind of users as well, right? So that's one. Second is, of course, like I mentioned earlier, and reiterating the same point, our verification process clearly stands out because our key focus is to ensure the users really trust the communication, trust the brand that is, sending them or interacting with them. And the third is we focus heavily on the user experience side of it as well. Like for us, our end consumers or end users are what make our platform today, right? So we deeply care about that, and that goes deep into our ethos as well. So what we try to do is we focus a lot on the consumer experience, and we try to give a prioritized experience for any important, any utility messages that they want to receive. And of course, users always have the option to kind of customize their preferences and, help us understand, what kind of communications they want to receive. And we kind of fine tune the communication targeting according to that. So that, in my experience, has worked out for most of the brands that we have worked with.
Great. I think one of the points you mentioned was the reachability aspect. For all brands, I'm sure the user base, the scale is a great prerequisite, or it acts as a big criteria while they're deciding in terms of how they want to execute their campaign. So that really helps. Thank you, Kiran and Yogesh, for sharing all these valuable insights. Clearly, Truecaller is not just about sending random messages, but it's about building meaningful connections with the customers. Of course, brands, while I say that, should focus on the content and target audience selection, like Yogesh, you mentioned.
Yeah.
So now maybe we can open the session to some questions from our audience. Uh, you can all see an icon in the bottom of the panel which says Q&A. Please feel free to drop in your questions and we can take them up live in our session. Okay, we have our very first question. What are some of the upcoming features or updates for Truecaller that businesses can look forward to?
Sure. I think I can maybe start with that, and Kiran, feel free to add, right?
Yeah, sure.
I think one of the key so far, I've been to tell you, give your perspective. I think our main focus had been on service related communication or utility messaging, and some sort of trans promo communication as well. One of the key things that we are focusing as a platform is building two-way capabilities and build on more conversational experiences. I think that is one key update that we'll roll out in the coming few months, essentially. That's why we want to work with enterprises to work on or expand on the use cases, especially let's say service related or chat related use cases, wherein it would be a more engaging experience for the end user, as well as like the users don't need to really go out to different platforms to interact with the business, and we'll come out with some unique elements or unique components which businesses can provide a differential experience to their users. So if I have to summarize, I would say like conversational or two-way experiences is something that we are kind of going after, and we'll open up more use cases for our enterprises and the end users to interact.
Great.
It's
That would
like,
add a lot of meaning to the whole messaging aspect.
yes.
Kiran, sorry, I think you were saying something.
No, I just want to add to one point, to the Yogesh point is like, for example, if you see the menu cards or the carousels and all these things, these are all very soon we are going to introduce in the business messaging solution as well. A part of what Yogesh has explained to that. Just in simple terms to say, these are all the new features also very soon we are going to add it up.
Great. We have another question. Is there any time window for promotional messages?
I can say that is always as per the the TRAI regulations. We also maintain the same window. It's not that we don't allow to send the messages in a very odd times to the end customers and disturb them. Usually, I think it is around 7ish. We will close that window in the evening times. So beyond that, we don't allow the promo messages to send out. It's the same way the way we handle these regulations for the SMS and other channels. Like we respect the same.
Great. There's another one. Will the messages be delivered to D&D users as well?
Yes, in fact, we can deliver to DND users because DND is not applicable for IP-based the messaging platforms. DND is more for the SMS channel, but not exactly for the IP-based messaging platforms. So yes, we can reach to DND users as well.
And I think just to add to that point, on our platform, the end users have a preference or an option, like a setting, wherein they can opt in or opt out to receive any certain kind of communication, right? So ultimately, it's the end user's choice. If they feel certain communications, like they want to receive only certain type of communications, they have an option to do that. And if they feel they have to opt out of certain kind of communications, I mean, it's ultimately up to the users, and we respect the user's decision in that. So I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately we leave it up to the end users to decide on that.
Right. There's another one we could take up. Can the businesses personalize messages for different segments of customers? And if so, what is the level of personalization?
Can you want to take that, or should I?
Yeah, please,
Okay,
Yogesh.
sure. Yeah, so I think we do provide personalization capabilities as well. I mean, based on the user preferences and users' behavior, we have certain segments and cohorts which we can kind of help businesses build and optimize on their messaging campaigns which they're sending. So of course, I mean, based on the basic demographics of the users, we do provide those capabilities essentially. And of course, it varies based on the use case as well as the nature of the enterprise as well, like what kind of communications they have to send. So personalization is definitely possible, and we do that on a day-to-day basis.
Great. So that brings us towards the end of today's webinar. I think we can conclude the Q&A here. If you guys have any further inquiries, please feel free to reach out to us at marketing@vfirst.com, and we'll be happy to address some of your additional questions or queries that you may have. Thank you again, all of us, especially to our panelists for taking the time today and sharing your valuable insights, and our attendees for your active participation. We got a bunch of questions as well. Today we explored how innovative Truecaller is, and how it can help empower businesses and make their conversations and connections with their customers a bit more meaningful. And drive at the end of the day, it's all about driving growth. So Truecaller can be a great contributing partner while businesses are trying to get better ROIs from the communication. That's it. We look forward to you guys joining us for our future webinars and other events as well. Thank you
Yes.
so much again for tuning in.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Saloni.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Yogesh.
And thank
Thank
you,
you.
Saloni. Thank you, Kiran.
Thank you so much.